They skipped school just to pollute a sacred river. One old woman warned them, "This river is not ordinary." But they laughed. The next time they returned, the river rose and took two of them. Gone. And when the villagers heard their screams, they knew the truth. The river sees. The river remembers. The river never forgives. This is the river's warning. The dogs that will get missed in the jungle will never hear the whistle of the hunter. "Iyansi," the old storyteller murmured, then faced the younger one, waiting for him to talk. With his face raised, he started talking to the younger ones with him. He said, "Get yourself a seat and make yourself comfortable." He continued talking to them, saying, "We're going to dig into an African-Nigerian folktale story. It's all about the river's warning. Come, let's get down to business. Be attentive so that you won't miss any part of the story." Long ago, in a peaceful village called Oruntria, nestled between green hills and palm trees, lived four troublesome boys: Yomade, Kunle, Usman, and Umomi. These boys were well known in the village for their stubbornness and mischief. They were always cooking up some trouble, laughing and running through the village, ignoring warnings from elders, and causing headaches for their teachers. The people of Oruntria were kind and hardworking. They respected nature, honored traditions, and believed strongly in spirits, especially those that lived in rivers, forests, and hills. But these four boys didn't care much about such things. To them, everything was a joke. Their parents had tried many times to correct them, but nothing worked. They were always together, and their mischief only grew worse with each passing day. One bright morning, the boys walked into school grumbling. It was Labor Day, a day every student was expected to clean and beautify the school compound. The thought of sweeping floors and weeding gardens didn't sit well with them. "I'm not wasting my time cleaning," Kunle said, rolling his eyes. "Me too," Yomad added. "Let's sneak out. Let's do something fun instead." They looked at each other and smiled. Usman nodded. "Let's go to that river in the next village. They call it Owena River, right?" "Yes, that's the place. No teachers, no cleaning, just us and fun," Donmomi agreed. And just like that, they jumped the fence and ran off through the bush path that connected Oruntria to the neighboring village of Ikawe, where Owena River flowed wide and beautiful. When they got to Owena River, they were amazed at how peaceful and clear the water looked. Birds chirped above them, and fish danced just beneath the surface. But instead of admiring its beauty, the boys began throwing stones and laughing. Soon, they started tossing in plastic bags banana peels and dirty food wrappers. They even waded into the river, splashing and shouting like wild animals. They were so loud that they didn't notice someone watching them from behind the tall grasses. Suddenly, an old woman with long white hair and deep, piercing eyes appeared. She had a crooked walking stick and a wrapper tied around her waist. "My children," she said, her voice gentle but firm, "why are you polluting this sacred river? Don't you know it gives us water to drink, food to eat, and blessings for harvest?" The boys paused. Donmomi scoffed. "Old woman, we're just having fun." "Fun," she repeated. "You call destruction fun? Listen carefully," she said to the angrily. "Never come back here again. Leave now and do not return." The boys grumbled and walked away, making fun of her as they left. "Who does she think she is?" Yomade said. "Probably one of those old women with no teeth and too much talk." Kunle laughed. They didn't know that the old woman was not ordinary. She was the spirit of the river, the goddess of Owena, and she had just given them a chance to repent. Back in Oruntria, the boys didn't tell anyone what had happened. Not their parents, not their teachers, not even their friends. It was their little secret. Days passed and once again, a market day arrived. The school warned students not to leave the school grounds, especially after hearing rumors of some boys sneaking out. But the boys didn't care. They planned their escape again. This time we'll bring even more fun stuff to throw into the river, Usman said. So they jumped the fence again and ran back to Owena River, carrying bottles, tins, and old shoes they had picked from the waste dump. When they got there, the river looked calm, almost too calm. "Let the fun begin," Dunmomi shouted. They started polluting the river again, but this time something strange happened. The water suddenly swirled. A giant wave rose without warning and smashed against the shore, splashing dirty water everywhere. Kunle slipped and fell into the river. "Help! Help me!" he screamed. Dunmomi ran to grab his hand, but the water pulled Kunle deeper and deeper. "Kunle!" Dunmomi cried as he leaned forward, but then the river dragged him in too. Yomad and Usman froze in fear. Then they turned and ran all the way back to the village, screaming for help. Messengers were sent to Oruntria to call the boys' parents. When they arrived and saw only 2 boys instead of 4, their hearts shattered. "What happened to our children?" Kunle's mother wailed. "They are gone, taken by the river," Baba Akin said sorrowfully. The parents could not believe it. The school authorities also arrived, shocked and speechless. Yomade and Usman stood with their heads bowed. They had caused more pain than they could ever fix, but the villagers knew something had to be done. "We must perform a cleansing," Baba Akin said. "Only then will the river goddess rest." The villagers gathered herbs, white cloths, calaboshes and kola nuts. They sang sacred songs and called upon the spirits to forgive the boys. For 7 days, they poured libations, made sacrifices, and pleaded with the river to return the boys. On the 7th morning, while mist still hung over the water, a loud cry rang out. "Come, come quickly!" People ran to the riverbank and gasped. 2 lifeless bodies, Kunle and Dunmomi, lay gently on the riverbank, as if placed there by unseen hands. Their faces were peaceful, but they were no longer alive. The villagers wept bitterly and mourned their death. The grief in both villages ran deep. The parents of Kunle and Dunmomi mourned their sons with heavy hearts, but they knew nothing could be done. It was the price of disobedience. The school built a wooden sign near the school gate. "Obedience saves. Disobedience destroys." The villagers erected a sacred stone by Owena River that read, "Respect nature, honor spirits, remember Kunle and Dunmomi." Yomade and Usman changed. They became quiet, respectful boys. They visited the river often, not to play, but to pray. And so the story of the 4 boys spread across towns and villages. Elders told it at night. Teachers told it in schools. Parents told it at home. Everyone learned that behind every river, every tree, and every hill, there is a spirit that must be respected. Moral lessons. Obedience saves, disobedience destroyed. The villagers erected a sacred stone by Owena River that read, "Respect nature, honor spirits, remember Kunle and Dunmomi." Now that I have fulfilled my part by telling you this morals and wisdom-filled African folktale story, let this be impactful by subscribe, like, comment, and share with your children to learn more about obedient and cultural etiquette. Watch out for The Adventure of Kitty, an hilarious kitty series story full of moral lessons for children. Thank you. See you next time.